So when we get into the high heart, what ends up happening is we're able to access a greater intelligence that is always on, streaming into our body, but has been disconnected for a long time. Disconnected in some more than others. I feel like the people who have not had a big struggle in their life may not have been so disassembled from this system. And to me, what the reconnection feels like is a sense of wholeness where we've been trying to, whatever it is that we thought society was going to give us, or the things was going to give us, or the achievement was going to give us, or the body was going to give us. I feel that this connection allows you to feel that wholeness. And then when we experience the stuff on the
Welcome
outside,
to
it's
Queen
just the icing on
Bold
the cake. It's just
EQ
that much
podcast,
juicier.
where I share
But
with
we
you the
don't actually
mindset,
need
energetics,
it because we
emotional
feel so
intelligence, and
full and
habits
whole
required to
within.
transform your health and manifest your dream body. I'm your host, Lauren Saracione, a 20-plus year fitness professional, lifelong entrepreneur, and I have self-healed my chronic pain and my emotional eating. And I am here to share with you the spiritual and the practical so you can transform your health and manifest your dream body.
So it is Monday, January 9th. This is the 5th episode of Queen Bold EQ podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Saracione. I'm so excited to share this with you. This podcast is all about you being the queen of your emotional intelligence, because as soon as we get a handle on our emotions and we understand how the energy works throughout our body, how it emanates from our body, then we can really be like the captain of our ship. We can really find that feminine energetic flow that allows us to work hard and then also to receive the rewards of our work instead of just work. So if you are new here, the reason why we are really focusing on this is because my experience as a human being and having my energetics and having painful/fear emotions stored in my body for a very long time, the reaction of those stored energetics was to overwork myself. And this is I don't want to say pictured. It's kind of a topic in Dr. John Sarno's work about how when we have inner child primitive emotions, so baby inner child, when we are not getting our needs met or we're having an emotional reaction or whatever the case may be, the result of it is that we have chronic pain and tension called tension myofascial syndrome. And he has a whole evidence body of work of showing how the subconscious mind will cut off a little bit of oxygen to various parts of the body that make sense for the conscious mind to perceive pain to distract us from emotional pain. And also this happens with people who have really deep trauma where your mind checks out of the experience happening to the body. And then also it shows up not only in the physical body breaking down, but also it shows up in having a type A personality, a perfectionist personality, an overachiever personality, in which we feel like we need to fill and do and earn to fit in or to have love and acceptance. And so I definitely exhibited a lot of those behaviors of overworking myself and really not taking care of my physical body and having things build up over time. And I just recently had a flare last week and I did my inner work about it. And I realized that I have some lack of belief that is not in alignment with the desires of my heart to really share this work. So I have recalibrated over the past couple of days. I have a little bit different of a self-care routine that I implemented today, and different foods and different nutrients that I'm going to be taking in, but then also different breaks that I know I'm going to have throughout the day to make sure that my body does have time to receive what I am working on versus just work and get run down. The other thing that I want to share with you of like the purpose of this podcast is that when we understand our emotions, that when we have actual emotions stored in our body and in our energetic light body, They influence our thoughts and they influence our actions. And so I think of emotions as little gears on the non-physical universe side that then cause things to manifest, but also cause the circuits in our brain to connect the dots and then create belief systems. So when we're looking at the reasons why we can't follow through with our self-care goals, or why we sabotage when we start to emotionally eat, or we sabotage because we overwork ourselves in the gym, like exercise bulimia, the reason why those things are happening is because there's energies in the body that are influencing the brain's way of figuring out a plan to be accepted. Because really what we're working on here in this 3D earth plane is that we have our own experience within our own mind body. Then we have the experience of interacting with other people in our relationships and in the collective, because every person on the planet has their own mind body field of mental and emotional thoughts and then their physical actions. And then interacting with the whole overarching of the ecosystem of how we're connected to the earth, how we're connected to the elements, how we're connected to the other planets in our solar system, and ultimately how we are connected to different star systems. Now, this work is so important to me because there gives purpose to the current conditions that we're facing in humanity and the planet right now. It is a known fact in astrophysics. I can't think of his name, but there is a lecture that I listened to that basically the cosmos, we get energetic impulses from other star systems in synchronistic 5,000 year intervals. And we're in one of those intervals right now. So we have this like big surge of energy. It's basically like everything is having a new awareness of their bullshit. The planet's having an awareness of their bullshit. Everything is having this new awareness. So it's like everything's going through a dark night of the soul if we're open to it. If we listen to the call that says, I don't quite like how things are going. I want to change some things in my life. It's basically like, for me, how I feel about this is that it's that feeling that you have that like you want to get healthy or you want to get fit, you want to look hot, and you realize all the things that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing that aren't in alignment with it. That's kind of how I feel we're having this experience as humanity with this 5,000 year interval. So understanding energy and emotions and how it manifests and how it influences our thoughts and how it influences unconscious patterns in the body and how it influences our sabotage patterns when like we're right at the edge of like getting those results. This is why it's just so important, why I'm doing a podcast again to share this information with you, because it has completely changed my life, my perception of life, my relationship with myself, my relationship with my body, and my body just keeps getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So that's why we're here today. Welcome. I'm so glad that you are here and tuning in. Let's get into it. This episode is about how connecting to your high heart slows the impulse to emotionally eat. Now, I have 4 points that I want to go over with you today, and we're going to go through them pretty quickly and then just, hit the replay button if you need to go through them and make some notes and really find the application in your own life. So the first thing I want to share with you is the physical nervous system. Well, maybe I should share with you how you connect to your high heart. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. So we connect to our high heart by slowing down the physical heart. We breathe in for 5 seconds and we breathe out for 5 seconds. And so what this is doing is it's giving the physical heart a chance to know that it is completely safe, that it is completely safe on a planet with predators. And we have to kind of like remove our technology for a moment. And I've been watching this show on Netflix called The 100. And it's like there's predators on the planet that you get to find out are actually people. But when you're first finding out about them, they look very like monsterish. And I want you to think about the movies where it is about survival on a primal level, where it is about staying alive so that you don't get eaten or killed by somebody's spear. So there is a primal impulse to stay alive within the nervous system. And that impulse is translated to the brain as fight, flight, hide, with by a rapid heartbeat. And so the first thing that we do is get into brain and heart coherence breathing, where we slow down the breath for 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. So that tells the physical heart the body is completely safe in this environment. And because we're not running the risk of being eaten by another animal, and most of us are not in environments where we are going to be bodily harmed, the stress in the nervous system is all perception. It is all the thoughts in the brain, worrying about the future, fretting over the past of what we wish we could have done better. And those thoughts that are in the brain have a lot to do with fear/pain emotions like sadness, disappointment, shame, guilt, and indifference. So when we have these 5 emotional ranges that I like to focus on, when you look at them in a vastness of there's ranges of sad. There's sad when you see a kitten run over on the side of the road, and there's sad when your mom dies. There's different ranges of all of these emotions. But if we look at them as 5 main points, it's those emotions, sadness, disappointment, indifference, shame, and guilt, that are influencing the stress response of fight, flight, freeze in the brain. That's telling the body, it's the mind-body connection, that there is bodily harm coming. And so when we have this stress response always going on in the body and the nervous system, the brain's job is just to stay alive. So whatever it is that is the perception of stress, it's the thoughts that's going on in the mind, whatever the brain has access to of solution-based, get out of danger, get rid of this feeling as soon as possible, that's going to be our operating system. And if you're like me, that operating system means work harder, earn your keep, have value perception from the outside in to feel better about yourself. This is the work part of it, of Dr. John Sarno's work. And this feeling by sweating it out in the gym or getting yourself nice and sore so you feel like you earned the ability to eat whatever your favorite foods are, or just chemically snuffing these low vibes molecules of emotion in your body with eating. So the result of this heightened nervous system is that we overwork or we snuff it out with exercise or with overeating, emotionally eating. Do anything to get rid of this feeling. So when we go into the brain and heart coherence breathing, what ends up happening is that physical heart gets to slow down. And because now the mind body is now not perceiving threat, it's perceiving peace, the cortisol production is stopping, the adrenaline production is stopping, the histamine production is stopping. So now the body is chemically in a state that is of health and growth and happy hormones versus the stress hormones that over time, under long periods of stress, deteriorate the body. So that's what's happening with the nervous system. Now, point number 2 is about the non-physical nadial system. Drink of water in my fancy glass. The nadial system, when I learned about this, my mind was blown. So we have a lot of talk about the feminine energetics, right? We have computers that have a motherboard. Our motherboard is on the posterior side of the body, on the non-physical universe side, so you can't see it. But it's an infrastructure that's very much like a computer. And the nadial system is the non-physical twin to the physical nervous system. So if you can think about that art exhibit, that science exhibit of where it had the cadavers everywhere, and you remember seeing one that showed the nervous system, like shows all the nerves, shows the brain going down the spinal cord, and then all the nerves coming out of the spinal cord. That has an identical duplicate on the non-physical side. And this nadial complex, we become more and more separate from it as soon as we're born, and we become more and more human, and we lose touch with the non-physical universe. We have to get down to earth and be in reality. So this nadial system, though, is so important because it's going to deal with the energetics in the light body, which is going to influence the physical body. And so when we get into the physical body, slowing down, understanding that it's in a peaceful situation, not a threat situation, then we can start to reconnect with that nadial system. Because then what happens is the physical heart connects to the high heart of the high self, of the nadial system, of the light body. It has a lot of names to it. So when we get into the high heart, what ends up happening is we're able to access a greater intelligence that is always on, streaming into our body, but has been disconnected for a long time. Disconnected in some more than others. I feel like the people who have not had a big struggle in their life may not have been so disassembled from this system. And to me, what the reconnection feels like is a sense of wholeness, where we've been trying to, whatever it is that we thought society was going to give us, or the things was going to give us, or the achievement was going to give us, or the body was going to give us. I feel that this connection allows you to feel that wholeness. And then when we experience the stuff on the outside, it's just the icing on the cake. It's just that much juicier, but we don't actually need it because we feel so full and whole within. So this nadial system, what's going to happen is when we're connected to the high heart and the nadial system, the motherboard, the feminine energetics, gets to come with our physical body again. It's like our physical body is here in the masculine doing and thinking and becoming and coming forth from the darkness. That when we have that feminine energetics, now we're super powered into the depths of who we are on the soul level. It's like we get plugged into such an expansive way of feeling and being and doing and thinking, that then everything becomes really easier to stay in alignment with our goals. Now, the nadial system is also going to help us reconnect to the chakra system and how the chakras are acting interdimensionally, and how we can have access to higher points of consciousness. We're not going to get into all of that, but just know that that's like waiting for you on the other side, and you wouldn't believe the things that you will become aware of when you practice this. The third point is the vibrational emotional, because emotion is two things. It's vibration around and within your body, emotional scale, and then it's chemical, the molecules of emotion that secrete from the brain to make the mind-body connection on the physical level be intact. So point number 3 about the vibrational emotional cell to chemical emotional reaction time is what we're going to talk about right now. Because to me, all of this spirituality stuff is useless if we don't have an application for what we want our life experience to be. So here's the application. When we practice brain and heart coherence breathing just for 3 minutes a day, breathing in for 5 seconds, breathing out for 5 seconds, having gratitude for ourselves, imagining something that would make us feel from the outside in love, joy, appreciation, kindness, care. That's the protocol. 3 minutes a day, for 5 seconds, breathe out for 5 seconds, feel gratitude for yourself, and then imagine something that would make you feel from the outside in love, joy, appreciation, kindness, care. That's it. That's all you have to do. So then we get to access the high heart. Then we get to plug back into the nadial system. And then in real life, when you're outside of your meditation, that connection, by the way, with the nadial complex and the high heart will strengthen and stay more cohesive together the more you practice brain and heart coherence breathing. But then here's what happens in the moment when you interact with a trigger. So when we get triggered, it's because, well, there's several things that's going on, but I'm going to talk to you about it from the vibrational standpoint first. The trigger happens because the vibrational field, your light body and your physical body, store the emotions. And they're storing the emotions so that the brain has an automated system that says, this is not safe, get out of here fast. That's what the vibrational system is doing. It's like the sonar device to see if you're in a safe environment. And remember, I said most of us aren't under physical threat. So it's perceived threat of stress in the brain. It's us making up stories about not being good enough and not being accepted and how we're going to fail. So when these thoughts are happening, it's because there's fear or pain emotions trapped in the body, in the field. So these emotions are deep. And so you can kind of like look at your life to see kind of like the degree and the intensity of these emotions. So if you look at an area of your life that you can never get the result, shit always happens in this one category of life. You always feel this certain way about relationships, about family, about work, about your housing, about money. There's a strong, deep, powerful emotional current that's holding that perception and that experience in place. So these emotions can be running all the time and dictating our decisions and dictating what is attracted to us and how things are manifested. But also there can be ones that are like dormant, that are inactive, that are just there as an alarm system. So if you're living your life and you're working with your colleagues and one of your colleagues looks at you the wrong way, changes their tone, judges you, does something that you don't like that makes you feel this, like, the emotion got activated. So you may feel like, I feel like a sea urchin. I feel like I get poked. I feel a poking. I feel it like dent my chest in. I feel my heart drop. I feel a sense of shock when there is an energy interacting with someone that is not in alignment with me. That's how I feel it. I didn't always actually feel it. It would take me a few days after sabotaging myself to realize I was upset, and then what actually upset me, because I had checked out of my body for so long. But now I can feel it instantly. So when you have this interaction with someone that sets you off, you may not actually feel it in the moment. It might just like piss you off or make you feel insecure. And then maybe it's a few hours, maybe it's lunchtime, maybe it's dinner time, where you find yourself saying, I really need something crunchy. I need some carbs and fat. I really need a drink. I really need. And it's the brain's decision to do something to get rid of this feeling. But this is the unconscious part of it, where you don't know the reason why you can't follow through. You just know that you're not following through. It could be that you interacted with something that triggered you earlier in the day, and it just took time for that vibration, get the signal to the brain, for the brain to be like, this is that feeling. We don't like it. Whenever we eat Mexican food and have a margarita, the feeling goes away. Let's go do that. Who cares about the diet? I need this. So when we practice the brain and heart coherence breathing, it gets us back in our body. Because when we're practicing that feeling of imagining something that would make us feel from the outside in, right? We're working on our manifestation. We're projecting what we want to experience in the real life. We're projecting what we want to experience as a soul having a human body. What would I love to happen from the outside in? It's like you're being tickled. You can't tickle yourself the way somebody else can tickle your head, right? So when we get to have this human experience, what do we want to have? We're mostly programmed just to stay alive. So when we spend time imagining something that would make us feel love, joy, appreciation, kindness, care, we are using the high heart and the heart chakra in the nadial system to create an energetic field around us of those emotions. So then we create this like soft snow globe around us that when it interacts with an energetic current, an emotion in an environment, in a conversation, coming off of somebody's vibe that is not of love, joy, appreciation, kindness, care, we can feel the misalignment. We can feel the vibrational resonance not actually being in resonance with us. So I really love this in Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. He shows how there's like an energetic wave, and that when you're in resonance someone, their energetic wave is going at the same rate as yours. When you're not in resonance with someone, it's like where your wave dips down, theirs is at the crest. And when your wave is at the crest, theirs is in a dip. And so it's like when you're putting the magnets together and you have them flip the other way so that they're pressing against each other, you get to sense that as an emotion that is not your own. And you get to sense that as, holy shit, I'm upset right now. What emotion is still in me that I got to transmute? You have this downtime, or not this downtime, you have this slow down response of the vibration hitting your cells, because then when the cells are vibrating at that triggered rate, it sends a question up to the brain to say, is this what we're feeling? And then the brain goes through all the stored information in it. And if there is a yes, it secretes the chemicals, the molecules of emotion to confirm the vibrational resonance that you just asked, is this what it is? And this happens unconsciously. So as soon as if we interact with someone who triggers us to feel bad about ourselves, and then we ask the question, do I feel bad about myself? The unconscious question, because it's a chemical reaction in the body. As soon as the brain secretes those emotions that say, yes, you should feel bad about yourself right now, now you have a mind-body connection of that emotional trigger. Now the mind-body is under threat. So now the mind is going to find a reason, a way to get you out of threat, which a lot of times has to do with food. So that's point number 3 of being able to slow down that process, because that's the process that we're really after, to see the carryover of brain and heart coherence breathing and apply it to your real life and where you want to stay in alignment with your health or with your aesthetic. So the 4th and final point that I want to share with you is that when we're in that moment where we feel, whoa, this is not my energy, or we acknowledge, ooh, this is really upsetting me right now. I'm agitated. I'm irritated. I'm starting to feel like shit. Like, why do I feel like shit? When you start to recognize that there's still something within you that's in resonance with it. So we still have some calibration to do at that energetic level. Or you have the feeling of, that ain't me, and you move on because you can feel that that's not you, and you've already transmuted that emotion out of your system. So those 2 things are the goal, so that we can be aware of what's triggering us instead of acting on the trigger. So what we have to do is create a better feeling question. So when we feel ourselves, so like say we have the feeling that we're like, we need our Mexican food, we need our margarita. This is going to make us feel better. It's Taco Tuesday. I know I started my diet on Monday, but hey, I'm like really stressed out. I just need this. So if you find yourself wanting to do something that you believe is not in alignment with your goals, it's all an individual basis, you have to ask yourself, what would the blank version of me choose to do right now? So when we have this picture of our health, at one time, my health was, I want to sit for longer than 5 minutes. I want to lay down on a pillow and not feel like I have a brick in my neck. That was my picture of health for a while. Then the picture of health became, I don't want to have terrible pain every time I eat or go to the bathroom. Then when those things cleared for the most part, it was like, I'm healthy. Now do I want to look a certain way? And I started to notice that I was looking a certain way of my dream body, of what I've always wanted to look like, when my rehab exercises to strengthen my upper back and my neck started to create for me the aesthetic that I had always held in my mind. Then I just took it up a notch and I'm like, well, I'm here. I can do it. Let's go. So when we have this image of ourselves and we want to go do an impulse to eat that Mexican food on Taco Tuesday because we're just so upset, we have to notice our thoughts and be like, is that actually in alignment with my goals? And the difference between eating a meal and having a drink out of celebration, out of joy, out of the experience, in that moderation of, say, you're 20%, 80% you're tight, 20% you're letting loose. Not binging, but like, you're not going to have a margarita every night. So if we feel that we need to have that food because we're stressed and we had a hard day, we have to take a second and be like, I need it. What would the aligned version of me do? Would the aligned version of me eat my emotions to snuff out the chemicals, fill the void to make my body feel heavy, to make me feel grounded and in control again? Or would the aligned version of me actually have some introspection and self-study to say, what is in me that I am choosing something on the exterior of my body and soul to soothe me? Why is this thing that I want to do going to give me a sense of my power back? Because I believe that when we put the food and the alcohol and the, all consumption that takes us away from our body, when we give that the power to relieve our stress, it's just one more notch down the vibrational scale of disempowerment. We are giving our power away. And then that flip side of it is that, like, then, climb back up the scale, puff up our chest like a rooster, and be like, I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Now we're feeling like we're going to take our power back and we're not going to give in to these cravings. And then we stick with it for a certain amount of time. And then all of a sudden, because now the mind body is changing, the chemicals are changing in the body, the vibrational structure of the body is changing, awareness is changing in the body. Then all of a sudden, the old mind body connection is under threat. And because that connection is under threat, the disempowering emotions that we still haven't dealt with come back up. And we make the diet or the food the villain, disempowering ourselves. And then we say, I'm beautiful the way I am. Anybody needs to love me the way I am. I don't care if I have cellulite. I don't care if my stomach hangs on my thighs when I go to the bathroom, even though that shit annoys us. We all of a sudden make that taking our power back. And so when we do this work of getting back in our body and using the brain and heart coherence breathing, we become aware of these energies: sadness, disappointment, shame, guilt, indifference, that are hanging out in opposition to love, joy, appreciation, kindness, and care. So what I have found in my own introspection and self-study from all these books that I've read and all of my experience with clients and all my experience with myself is that when we feel these emotions, we're able to withstand the stress. We're able to understand ourselves, and then we're able to make conscious decisions that are in alignment with these goals that we have with our health or with our aesthetic. So I really encourage you, you don't have to meditate for an hour a day. You don't have to meditate for 20 minutes, just the brain and heart coherence breathing for 3 minutes a day. That's all you need. And the connection will build, the self-awareness will build, and the desire to feel those emotions and spend time with yourself will grow. And you'll find yourself doing it throughout the day. I do it a lot when I'm driving. I do it before I go to bed. I do it when I wake up. Like, I don't set a timer every time for 3 minutes, but I definitely am like, here's an opportunity for 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Oh, I'm so grateful right now. This just like feels so good. Whatever environment I'm in, I get grateful for that environment. I get grateful for the progress that I make. I get grateful for everything that's going well. And then when I feel an emotion that I want to experience from the outside in, I'm just like gone. Like, I'm in fantasy land. You know, I'm with my dogs. We're cuddling. We're on the beach, or we're somewhere like whimsical with, you know, beautiful colors like this, like Asgard in the Marvel movies. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It just is something that's going to get those molecules of emotion that regenerate your body to secrete. Because then what we're doing is we're taking the desires of our heart, or the motherboard of our high heart, and we're combining them with the chemical structure of the body. So we're continually uniting our vibrational light body and our chemical physical body. And it's just the most beautiful thing. So I have the meditation for you. So as soon as this is up on the podcast players and on the YouTube, go to bodyenergetics.com. If you're watching a replay on Facebook, probably not yet. I still got a couple more emails to write. But what I have for you is a 28-day self-study calibration. And so for 28 days, you are going to meditate for 3 minutes doing the brain and heart coherence breathing. And every day you're going to get an email from me giving you a little bit more insight about why this works and how to look at the emotions that you might experience. Because when we try to feel love, joy, appreciation, kindness, care, we can create contrast within that meditation of shame, guilt, indifference, sadness, and disappointment. I call it our thoughts going dark. And it's the most magnificent thing, because what you've already done in that short amount of time is caused contrast in your emotions so that you can actually start to see right away, instantly, what's going on in your body. And the more you get practiced at it, and the more you go through your inner work of forgiveness and releasing the memories that are going to come up with these emotions, the more you get aligned. The more you build that snow globe sonar system to know what is yours and what is someone else's. What still needs to be healed if you get upset. What is like a hell no, this is not me. We're moving on from this situation, and just let it roll off your back. So that's at bodyenergetics.com. Like I said, if you're listening to this on YouTube or podcast players, go to it right now. It's all set up for you. Hold off a little bit. It's January 9th. If you're watching the replay in the next 2 days, probably not yet. Okay. And I just want to tell you that this is a sign of me like not over stressing and crunching, that I'm allowing myself to deliver this content to you in a way that is creative, that's in alignment and within a flow, that I'm excited and energized to share this with you, versus being like, I have to get this done. Because what I'm sharing with you is the spiritual along with the practical. And so I'm allowing myself to take my time to get it done so that I don't slip into my Dr. John Sarno stuff with my unconscious mind. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I love you. And then we'll catch you tomorrow.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you found it helpful, please share it on social media and tag me at It's Lauren Saracione and at Queen Bold EQ. You can just search my name, Lauren Saracione, on the IG, and you should find both of those handles, no problem. I'm going to leave you with a few little snippets of the ladies who were in the very first Queen's Gambit with me. The Queen's Gambit is my year-long transformation where I give you all the coaching you need for mindset, emotions, habits, diet, exercise, and self-care.
First of all, thank you for just giving of yourself and allowing us to be in this space today. That's been really amazing to just see like how much you're giving to us. So thank you for that.
Because I'm not gonna go shame myself anymore. I'm not gonna go fucking judge myself. I'm fucking over it. I'm so fucking done with that old game. It's just an old game. I'm not gonna play anymore.
Adding upper body has actually been really good. I enjoy it because I've always been so scared of it.
The energetic stuff like has been really great for me because I think that's like what my like soul was craving. Like I've been wanting to know more, but like where do I start? So this has been super great.
New identity, new person, new body.
And it was like, I could never get past certain plateaus, but this makes so much sense.
Exercises go really well. It's so much fun to have finally a gym.
I remember because it was so significant to me. That was after COVID. It was really difficult for me to go back because I had gained weight. I felt really heavy after having been lighter and through COVID and not working out. That day was really nice because you like encouraged me to like continue. When you told me, you're like, you're strong, sweetie, like you can go heavy, and I was like, really? That like helped me just kind of develop that confidence.
And I'm like, well, I'm gonna take responsibility for the mistake, but I'm not gonna like shaming or blaming or judging. It's not gonna help me take the responsibility. It just makes it like harder. So why the F should I like make it hard for yourself? Come on.